Welcome once again to another episode of the fine podcast known as the Peak Signing Agents Podcast with me, DVO Derek Van Otten, where I'm helping you become the best notary and signing agent you can be. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode. All right, on this episode, I want to dive right into it because I see these questions get posted a lot, and it's how they handle split signings. Let's talk about split signings on this episode. And I'm sure you probably have experienced split signings if you've been a signing agent for a while. But whether you have or haven't, I am sharing tips for not only newer signing agents, veteran signing agents, but also signing service owners on how to handle split signings. Now, if you are newer and you're not familiar with what a split signing is, a split signing means that they are splitting up the signing. One party is signing in one location, another party is signing in another location. And if there's more than two parties, then there's more than two parties. A split signing means multiple parties are signing, usually in different locations or different times, to accommodate all parties involved. Some examples could be, let's just say a husband and wife. They're moving, and one is, maybe they're moving from California to Nevada. The husband got a promotion. So the husband is working and living part-time in Nevada, so we'll send a Nevada notary. And the wife and the kids, who has the hardest job, taking care of the kids and packing, is in California. We're sending another notary to California. So that's one example. Let's just say another example could be an inheritance. Sister and brother. Sister and brother are inheriting their late mother's home. And so now they're the successor trustees, and they want to sell the home, but they live in different states. Another example could be business owners. Two friends live in different states, and they're buying a property together. And so these are what split signings are, meaning two notaries are going out. And one of two things are happening. Either, let's just, in this example, to make it easy and more convenient, let's just say all of these split signings are taking place between two parties, just to make things simple. It could be more than two parties, but let's just say for this example, it's between two parties. And one of two things are going to happen. Either both notaries are getting the entire set of documents to print and be signed and notarized with the party that the notary is meeting with. For example, let's use, what example should we use? Let's use the husband and wife getting a promotion. Okay. And let's just use that example. And let's just say they're buying a house. Again, they live in California, they got a promotion, they're moving to Nevada. And we're getting two notaries, one in California for the wife, one in Nevada for the husband. That's where he's working. We're getting two notaries, one in each state. One of two things are going to happen. Either each notary is getting all, let's just say it's a 150-page purchase package. Either each notary, the Nevada notary and the California notary, are getting the documents sent to them, all 150 pages. Each notary is printing out all 150 pages. Then meeting with the signer, either the husband or the wife, getting everything signed, getting everything notarized, and then both notaries are shipping all 150 pages each, a total of 300 pages, back to the title company. That's one example of what could happen. Or the other example could be, okay, we're going to send all 150 pages to the California notary first. They're going to meet with the wife, get everything signed and notarized, and then ship the documents either to the husband or the notary meeting with the husband in Nevada. Does that make sense? One of two things are going to happen. Either both notaries get all sets of documents and only get everything signed notarized with the person they're meeting with, or one gets it and then they ship it back to the other. So that's what happens. Now, how you perform these, I think, is important. How to fill these out is important. How to follow your state's laws are important. I want to break this down. And again, I want to give tips to everyone involved that's listening or watching the podcast. So if you're excited about this topic, if you're interested in learning more, real quick, if you could hit subscribe or follow on the podcast or YouTube channel, whichever one you are viewing or listening on, I greatly appreciate it. And if you got some time afterwards, leave a comment, leave a review. Again, it helps me get to more notaries to help them, but also it helps our whole notary and signing agent community. And that's what I'm trying to help, okay? Okay, so here are some tips. Let's just say you are one of the notaries, and this will happen at some point. If you've been a signing agent long enough, you will experience a split signing at some point. I've been involved with many different split signings. What I do is I'll use, depending if I know where they're at. Let's just say, we're using this real life example, or not real life example, this example that I made up. Okay, let's just say you're the California notary, and you're with the wife. She's home with the kids, packing and getting everything set up. You're that notary. What I would do is I would print copies, blank loose certificates of acknowledgments and jurats, and then I would put them behind the notarization page. This is for you California notaries, because California and Florida, there has to be particular verbiage, and that's fine. Follow your state laws always. There has to be particular verbiage there. A lot of California notaries will strike through the notarial verbiage of the document, especially if it's not state compliant, and write "see attached," and then they'll attach a loose jurat or acknowledgement. That's fine. But I wouldn't do that with split signings, because the other notary could have used that notary block and you struck through it. I know for a fact it is not required to strike through the notary block in California, for example. And this is notorious with California notaries. Remember, there's someone else involved. Stop thinking, I talk about this a lot in other episodes, but stop thinking inside of our own little personal bubble of notaries and what's convenient for us. Think of all the parties involved, because the escrow or title company or the other notary could have used that notary block. Okay? So this is a note for you, specifically California and Florida notaries. Do not strike through the notary block in a split signing. Leave it alone. You can write "see attached," but leave it alone and just attach your certificate with the person's name that you are notarizing. It's totally compliant. So that's my tip for California and Florida notaries. But any other time, go ahead and strike through it, but when it's a split signing, don't. Another thing about split signings, you always have to keep your notarial block precise, meaning state of blank, county of blank, where are you, the notary, located? All right, if you're going to use that notary block that's in the package and is for another state, strike through the state, initial, change. Strike through the county, initial, change. Every strike through must be initialed, by the way. A lot of notaries will just strike through the state and county and put one initial. Actually, you need to initial every change. You might think, well, I've never been told anything. Well, probably because the title or mortgage company weren't that picky about it, but you're still not doing it right. And it's important to do it right. If you want to stand out and be a peak signing agent, do it right. Even if you haven't been told before, well, no one ever corrected me before. You've been told now, you're listening or watching, do it each time, every correction. But only make changes in your notary block. So, state of blank, county of blank. If it's blank, write it in. If it's filled in with the wrong location, strike, initial, change. Then it'll say "before me appear," and it'll say the names of the signers. The names of the signers must always be there. Well, if you're only meeting with one of the parties, then the other party you're not meeting with in your notary block, you should be striking through and initialing. Only in your notary block. Your notary block, right? I'm talking to notaries and signing agents. That is your domain. You need to make that compliant for your state to be lawful. That's the only place you should be really making changes without getting approval from the mortgage or title company. A lot of notaries, and so as a signing service, I will tell notaries to do that. Hey, in your notary section, make sure to strike through, initial, and change the state and county and the person you're not meeting with. So many times, I don't know why notaries are not understanding this, but they'll go to the signature area and strike through the other person's name under the signature line. Don't do that. The other person still needs to sign. You basically just said this person is no longer signing. I've had to have documents redrawn, re-signed, re-notarized, and delayed in funding because notaries have done this more than once, unfortunately. This is the PSA for all of you out there. Your notary block in your notary section, that's your domain. Do not make any other corrections other places unless you have the approval to do so. Okay? From the mortgage company, title company, real estate agent, people are involved that have that authority to make that type of correction. But you don't just go striking through names, okay? So, just to reiterate, please listen to me on split signings. Do not strike through the notary block at all. Just you can write "see attached" if you'd like. If you're in particular states that don't qualify, if the notary verbiage is not accurate for your state. But in the state and county, the date, if the date's wrong, right? Because sometimes if it's signing with one notary one day on a Monday and then signing with the other notary in another state Tuesday, there's going to be different dates involved now. So also if the date's not correct, strike it, initial it, change it. If the person's that's not with you is not there, strike through, initial it. Because you're not notarizing their signature. And please listen again, if it's blank, if it just says subscribed and sworn before me on this date, and then that's it, you need to write in the name of the person that you're with. You should not be leaving blank names. There should always be a venue, which is state and county, or province, or statehood, or whatever is called in your area. Should always be a venue, always be a date, always be the name of the signer. Those three things should always be in your notary blocks. If it's not there, if those three things are not there, fill in the blanks. If it's compliant, if it's not compliant, then add a loose certificate of a jurat or acknowledgement. Okay? I'm just trying to help you guys out. I hope this makes sense. Because I see a lot of errors with these, and I see a lot of notaries asking questions about what they should do. Now, one thing I would do, if I knew, let's just say I'm the first notary, and usually, unless the other notary is in California or Florida, because I know it has to be a particular way. If I know it's not going to be in one of those two states, then what I usually do as the first notary is I will actually, because I have the documents. So sometimes the second notary, they're getting documents shipped to them. They don't see the documents. They don't know how many jurats or acknowledgments to bring. So when I'm the first notary, what I would do is I actually would just use loose certificates. That way, the second notary, they could just use the ones that were in the package, the original notarization pages and blocks, if I knew it wasn't in one of those states. But if I wasn't sure, then I would use the forms. If I was the first notary again, I would use all the forms that I received, and I would just do it properly. If it was the wrong wrong county, wrong state, I made those changes. If it was the wrong date, I made that change, and I would always strike through the name and initial of the person that I was not notarizing their signature. So that is how I did it. I'll tell you a story. One time I was doing a split signing. I was the second notary. Documents were shipped to me at my house, and they used all black ink. And I had to call title and say, hey, what do you want me to do? And they said, every page was in black ink? I said, every page. They said, just do it all in black ink too then. And it funded. But, yeah, unless you hear otherwise, always expect to sign everything in blue ink also. Unless it specifies to use a different color. always assume is going to be in blue. Yeah. So that's some things that I would do during split signings. That's how I perform them properly. Now, if both notaries are each getting the whole package, then that's easy. Anything that has to do with the other signer that you're not with, you just leave those pages blank. Let's just say, for example, a signature name affidavit. Usually each borrower has their own page for that. If I'm not meeting with one of the parties, I'm just leaving that page blank. And if I'm meeting with one of the parties, then I'm just filling that out properly. If it's the deed of trust, I'm striking through the name of the person that I'm not going to be visiting. Okay? That is how you do it. Now, as a signing service owner, if I know it's going to be a split signing, sometimes my clients are asking me, hey, get a notary, give us the notary's address, and we'll ship it over to them. I always question that because me as a signing agent, I know I'm not at home waiting for documents. I'm usually out and about doing other closing. So as a signing service owner, my tips for you all would be to ask if it's an option to ship the documents to the second party. Let's just use my example. I was using a husband and wife. Let's say the wife signed in California first and documents were getting shipped to Nevada. Is there a place he's staying? Can I ship it to the location? Can I ship it to his work? If not, let's just say maybe because he's living in a hotel, he doesn't want documents left at a front desk. I totally get that. Then yeah, let's ship it to the notary. But let's just say it's two different business partners or two siblings that are inheriting a property. I would actually ask, the other person that's signing, can we actually ship it to their house? That way, most likely, they're going to be at home and the documents will arrive there. That way, the notary's not waiting around. They have other closings. That way, they don't have to backtrack back to their house. If they're going to be signing at the location anyway, wouldn't it make more sense to just ship it to the location? And a lot of my clients are like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. So as long as it's not in any way going to interfere with maybe it getting lost or stolen, like at a hotel, for example, if it's going to go to a house, I always recommend, hey, can we ship it to the house versus the notary who might not be home, or who knows who answers the door at the notary's house, and who knows what could happen to the documents. So that is my tip on that one. Split signings are easy because you're only doing half the work essentially in some aspect. Because you're only meeting with one party. But it's important that you do fill it out properly. And it's important that the second party gets the documents back properly. Meaning, how are you making sure the documents are not going to get ruined by weather, by crumpling, by folding, things like that? I mean, we should always be thinking about that, no matter if it's the second notary getting the documents, because I see this complaint a lot, as in, oh my goodness, I just got the documents from the first notary, and it's a disaster. Like, all the documents are all just, it's a mix of letter and legal, and it's all mixed up, or they put all the letter in the front and then all the legal in the back. Hey, my tip is to keep documents in the order they were received. Clip them with a binder clip. That way they're more likely to stay secured. I don't put them in the poly bags. If you know what the poly bags are, those are the really loose little bags. I mean, if you got something from Amazon in a little bag, those are the poly bags that I'm talking about. I like to put everything in the cardboard envelopes. So if they're legal size documents, I put them in the legal envelope. I don't try to fold them and put them in a letter size. I put them in the legal envelope. Then, that way they're a little bit more firm because they're in a, those cardboard envelopes are structured, right? So they're going to keep it a little firm. And then I slide those into a poly bag, especially during the winter season or if it's going to be raining or snowing. That way they don't get ruined. Because those cardboard envelopes, if those get wet, water is going to eventually seep through those. And that will not be good if the documents are wet. I don't know if you've ever thought about that before, but now I want you to think about it. If you're in a place that rains, like if you're in the Pacific Northwest, or snows, a lot of places in the country, it snows in the wintertime. Can you imagine if they're in trucks, they fall or whatever, if those got wet, those cardboard envelopes, don't you think water would seep through and get the documents wet? Yeah, I fortunately have not had that happen, but just something to think about. That's how I do it. If I have to ship documents, I put in a cardboard for the structure, then put in a poly bag for extra security, especially from wet weather. And then the other notary will get documents back, or title company will get documents back, and everything is in pristine shape. And you'll stand out as a peak signing agent. Imagine that. So anyway, I just wanted to share this with all of you. I hope it brought value to you. If you're a newer signing agent, again, make sure you follow your state's laws, but you don't need to strike through that whole notary block. Leave it for the other notary or the title company to use. Because a lot of times the split signings happen with someone from another area, and then they're shipping documents, the notary shipping documents back to the title company, and the second person will sign at the title company, or vice versa. One party signs with the title company, and then they ship it off to the second notary or person to sign the documents. So just keep that in mind. Another tip for all my signing agent friends is sometimes when that happens, when the title company is signing first, and then they're going to ship it off to the second notary or the second signer, I still ask for the tracking number. Because if they have an appointment at, let's just say, 11 a.m., I want to be able to track it so I can tell the notary, oh, hey, you know what, don't even go yet, because those documents have not even arrived to the signer yet. You're going to waste your time driving there. I like to track the packages. So even as a signing service owner, I still ask for the tracking number so I can help the notary track it so no one wastes their time. That is another tip I want to share with you all. And in fact, if you're going to be the second notary, you should ask for that. In my opinion, you should ask the signing service for that tracking number. It's like, okay, great, I'll be happy to be the second notary. In fact, do you have the tracking number so I can track it to make sure it will arrive on time so I can be on time to the appointment? I would ask that. Yeah, I would do that. Another thing I do as a signing service owner is I will, if I get the documents, because it's going to be 2 split signings in 2 different states and I'm coordinating both notaries, I like to look at the documents. I know where the documents are going. I kind of know each state's laws. I try to give heads up on how to properly perform these. I try to call the notaries and explain how to properly execute these. All the tips that I gave right now. And I like to give them a heads up also. I might even ask the first notary, hey, do you think you'll use all the notarizations that are originally there? And they say, yeah, I'll probably use those. And I'll look at the second notary state. I'll go to their state's website and get the appropriate acknowledgments and jurats. I'll get those on PDF and put those into the documents, actually. So the first notary will print out everything, including the second notary's state-specific acknowledgments and jurats. Just to help everyone out so it gets performed properly. That's just something that I do as a signing service. Anyway, I hope this helps you. If you're new and you haven't done a split signing before, don't be afraid. Follow your state's laws. Do the tips I just mentioned. Strike, initial, change, anything you have to. Remember, the state and county is always where you are physically located, not where the signing took place, not where the title company is located. I see a lot of notaries ask this question. It's always where you physically are at. The dates, if the date is wrong, strike initial. Only do that in your notary section, though. That's your domain. You make those corrections in your notary section. And the person that you're not meeting with, strike through their name and initial. If you're going to be the second notary and you're getting documents from the first, just have some loose certificates of acknowledgments and jurats with you. That way you can just, I always want to say attach, but we're not attaching physically by staple or paperclip. We're just adding it to the back of the page. And you can even write on it, if you like, on the loose certificate for deed of trust, for occupancy rider, whatever you want to, you can write that on there if you would like. Not necessary, but you could is what I'm saying. All right, I hope that helps. Don't be alarmed. Don't be afraid of split signings. They're easy. I want to give everyone tips on how to perform these properly so it goes smooth sailing for all parties involved. And if you learn something, please share it. If you hear any notaries in other Facebook groups or forums that have questions about it, if you don't mind tagging this episode or tagging me, I'd appreciate that. And if you brought value to you, please put a comment, leave a review, subscribe, and follow like I mentioned earlier. Again, that helps the whole notary community. And I appreciate you watching and listening. Appreciate you more than you know. I'm excited for your future as a notary and a signing agent. Keep being awesome. I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.